changed?
I don't know.
Nothing? All right. Are we live here? Wait, hang on. Live. Oh, okay. If we do this, we can't see anything. If we do this, we can kind of see. Okay. Oh, we really can't see. Okay, there we go. Okay.
All right.
Back for this. Oh, fuck. Okay. What do you think? No? Like how? This is good.
Why don't we just like rotate it a bit?
Like that?
Not that much.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Like that?
All right. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, episode?
5?
No, it was 5 the last time we
6?
spoke. 6? Okay, let me get my lemon-infused water.
Fancy.
Very. Okay, cheers to episode 6. Okay. With 0 audience. Okay, so what are we talking about today? We always start with how's your week been?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Pretty normal week.
Okay.
Nothing too exciting.
Okay.
Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
The weekend was nice, right?
Yeah.
Some gambling, spending some money.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Yeah.
And I had a nice, hung out with the homies.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
Yep.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, so that was nice to see post-COVID world. Gambling in the post-COVID world is not fun. It's devoid of any fun. They have taken like all the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's quite a downgrade from the previous vibes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's like very different. It's very subdued, and they make it such that because so they can not control, but they can limit the spread of the virus, I guess.
Yeah. Right. It's still pretty lively though.
Yeah, towards the end it was getting a bit more hype, which was nice.
Yeah.
And that's it basically. But in the wider world, we've had NFTs to really blow up. Was it Beeple's thing this week?
Yeah, the $69 million thing.
Yep, we had that from Beeple. We had Elon Musk dub himself Techno King and release an NFT. Has he released the NFT?
I think he decided not to do it. Yeah, he was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And
really?
To his own thing.
Did he?
Yeah.
Why?
Apparently didn't feel right.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It was like, I'm not gonna do this. Doesn't feel right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And what else do we have so far?
I mean, it would probably go for like some crazy amounts, and it would be just like totally
crazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists have jumped onto the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that person? Halsey, singer. She's doing an NFT. You remember my tweet? I'm not sure if I tweeted this, but NFT, forget OnlyFans NFT.
Mm-hmm.
So people like NFT plus porn, groundbreaking. And excuse me,
but isn't it
first.
like
Not that I kind of
defeat the purpose of like, well, I guess
it's a custom, like you're the first one to own this piece of art.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a one-to-one thing, right? You have like some person that owns it,
and then you can resell it.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. The crypto market's going a bit crazy.
Yeah. A lot of companies announcing they're buying a lot of Bitcoin.
But a lot of regulatory bodies are looking into it and saying that we don't agree with certain things. Like Ethereum, I think America, the securities what's it called, commission?
Yeah, SEC.
Yeah, the SEC listen to me. The SEC, they have basically said that Ethereum, when they were operating in America, something was not. They didn't do something right. So they're looking into that for Ethereum. Sorry, for Binance, the platform Binance. That's what they're doing. A lot of Ethereum got stolen from a wallet or something like that. So yeah, and then India announced that it would. Well, China first of all took off a few crypto platforms, right? Off their whole thing. Remember?
Didn't see that one.
Yeah, China did. Like, they took a few crypto platforms completely, were erased from Weibo. I think it was Binance and like 2 or 3 other platforms. And everybody who had money there, everything's disappeared. They have no access to it. And then India was like, yeah, we're going to make this illegal. And then that's when basically Bitcoin plunged. Because over the weekend, it was like 60 and 60K.
Yeah.
And now it's like 58, 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. What's your take on Bitcoin towards like as we approach the end of the year?
In what terms?
How much do you think it'll be worth?
Value? I don't know, man. It's tough to tell. I mean, eventually it's going to go up, in my opinion, but I don't know. I think it depends on how many companies decide to.
That's fine.
Intermission. Yeah, it depends on how many companies are going to buy into it, right?
Usually left to your right, left to your right. Left to your right, left to your right. Yeah.
So if like a big company like Apple or something gets into it, or any company along those lines, it'll just go crazy.
Wait, hasn't Tesla, was a big company, already
Tesla
bought
did
into it?
Yeah. So you just need a few more, right? A few more huge, large companies.
Yeah.
And that'll probably boost it,
Substantially.
at least like 70, 80K-ish. And remember that statistic where what was like if the S&P 500, 10% of the S&P 500 put their money into like if the S&P 500, every company puts 10% of their cash holdings into Bitcoin, then the price of Bitcoin should be around $200,000 to $250,000. So I mean that's like just the market cap kind of analysis. Plus, if you consider like the hype thing that'll happen if people actually do that, companies actually do that, then it might go even higher, right? So I think the big factor is going to be just like the adoption from companies in the short term. In the long term, I think it's going to go up either way, but within the year, it's going to be interesting to see. Like
people are saying that it's going to hit 100.
So, like I say, I mean, it
that's
depends
a minimum. That's a very sober estimate as well.
It depends, It depends on how many companies are going to hop on that bandwagon. Which I think why wouldn't they?
Makes sense.
Yeah, and also that's only companies, and once you start thinking about governments, right? Banks, centralized banks, and if they start to hold Bitcoin, that'll obviously.
Doesn't that like defeat the whole purpose of Bitcoin?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously,
Yeah.
Central banks already hold a bunch of currencies, right?
Yeah.
Mainly U.S. dollars, but I mean it depends on the central bank, but they're called the reserve currencies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If Bitcoin becomes a reserve currency, then obviously it can even go higher because they hold like a lot of money, right?
Right now, Jack Dorsey from Square and Jay-Z, they've pumped a lot of money into Bitcoin. That trust that they have. So, what's your take on? I think, and I'm not sure, the Gray Trust Fund or something to that degree, is one of the key holders of
Yeah, it's
Bitcoin. Is that the Jay Z
ETF.
one? Oh, it's not. It's
It's an
ETF.
ETF, yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's
Bitcoin
not.
ETF.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
I think it's like the most popular Bitcoin ETF.
What does a Bitcoin ETF do?
They hold on to a lot of Bitcoin,
Okay.
and it tracks the performance of Bitcoin in USDs.
So it's just Bitcoin.
I mean, there are a bunch of different ones. There are like crypto ones that have.
Oh,
like, a mix
so the gray
basket of-
so the gray ETF is just
I think you're referring to the grayscale one.
Yeah.
Bitcoin ETF.
What's
yeah.
that? So it's just
That's an
Bitcoin,
ETF, yeah.
just for Bitcoin.
I think that specific one is just Bitcoin. But
Why
I
wouldn't
think
you
they have a
own? Why
few
wouldn't you
crypto
own a
ones.
Bitcoin instead of having a gray?
Well, I mean, owning Bitcoin, a lot of people like, I don't know, really, actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having an ETF
Mhm.
has its benefits where you can buy other instruments on the ETF, right? Like options and things.
Okay.
Well, you can buy Bitcoin options from other places too,
Mhm.
but like I guess it's kind of a
Safer?
not a safer thing, but like more convenient, I would say, I guess, for a lot of people. A lot of people already are investing in stuff, and
I mean,
instead of
this is a
opening
new.
a Bitcoin
Yeah.
wallet and finding someone to send them, Bitcoin, you can just buy the ETF, which is easier for a lot of people.
Fair enough.
But the problem with that is, like, as a holder
Mhm.
of the ETF, you pay, fees for them to, manage the whole thing.
Okay.
So, I think it's like a 1% fee.
I'm just surprised at this guy. Look at him. You can smell food. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
So yeah, in short, I think it can moon. It
It goes moon.
it can go sideways.
Mhm.
I don't think it'll go down though.
It's
Any
actually
significant
gone
number.
5K down.
Yeah, I mean 5-10K, sure, but like anything lower than that, I don't think it's likely.
No matter how many people are like, how many regulatory bodies are like, kind of like nitpicking and.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Okay, do you think this will replace money in the near future? When I say near future, I mean 2 to 3 years, or a majority of the transactions.
It might, but I don't know when it will happen. So when you think about normal money,
Yeah.
it has like a lot of disadvantages, right? You have to print a lot of money, which
Yeah.
is costly and
Mhm.
weird, and it's bad for the environment. You need to keep track of money, make sure people are not doing counterfeiting money, and it's like a lot of shit you have to
Mhm.
worry about. Also, that's like the problems of governments, right? And for the
Yeah.
people, it's like you need to work with the bank. Banks have fees and shit. They have jurisdictions. You can't send money anywhere you want. That easily.
Mhm.
So it has a bunch of advantages over normal money. So probably it'll replace money, and to some extent. But you never know. I mean, it might be a mix for a while. It's I mean, transacting with crypto is still quite difficult. I mean, especially like buying stuff.
Well, they have that. They have that Visa card now.
Yeah, but that's not real crypto. That's like you have an intermediary thing.
What do you mean?
So you have a company that holds on to your Bitcoin and then lets you. Yeah, things like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
It's not like one-to-one. You're on the blockchain kind of transaction. It's like you have an intermediary thing. That's kind of like a bank, and you pay fees to that.
Fair enough.
But I mean, it might change. I'm sure it'll change. In the future, it'll make you better, streamline.
What else has made you really excited this week from everything that we're seeing?
I don't know. I think like the whole NFT thing is pretty cool. Especially for digital art.
Yes,
Not so
whole
much for
thing. Yeah.
music and other media,
I mean,
but
I don't know. I mean, I do feel that with digital art, digital art has been brewing for some time.
Yeah.
And it's been brewing for some time. And I was having a look prior to this that, people used to invest in art, traditional art. Traditional art, according to some kind of like, I think I'm not Knight Frank index of like investing, has minus 11%. The values decreased by
Hmm.
11%. And the things that have increased are basically handbags. So
Hmm.
traditional things that people would invest in, such as cars, watches, antiques, art. Art was one of the big things out there.
Yeah.
Its value has actually decreased by
Hmm.
11%, which is very interesting because you would be like, why? Why is that so? And now we're looking at digital art, which is kind of like booming now. If you see the whole
Yeah.
trend, digital art is booming. It's been there for a while, right? All with the light shows and everything, but now it's really, really booming.
For me, it's not like the value of it, or like if it's going to go up in value or down in value.
Mhm.
People's thing. Is it going to go up in value? I don't know, man. Is there going to be a guy that wants to buy, or a person that wants to buy it for like 200 million someday, maybe? But like, to me, it's like it's cool that they're able to do that practically now. Before it was pretty difficult, right? A lot of legal copyright stuff that you need to sort out, and
And it was done by Christie's as well, which is like a revered name in like auctions.
Mhm.
So that was very nice. That was like a stamp of approval.
Mhm.
That was quite exciting.
So I just love the possibilities it just enables
That's
for the
true.
whole art
And I think
community.
we're moving away from traditional media as well for art, which it's a bit bittersweet because I just love traditional media, but I feel like now with things are changing. Like what the internet did for journalism.
Mhm.
Now journalism is fast churned,
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing that what I feel the internet has done for art now.
Mhm.
It's a completely different realm.
Mhm.
It's like 3D, and now there's AR art and VR art. We're going into a different space, a completely different
So
space now.
I think it's like expanding the game. It's not like tradition like what happened to the newspapers and stuff. That's like a zero sum game kind of thing, right? You were doing newspapers, now you're online.
Mhm.
But now I think with the stuff with digital art is like you're just creating something that is totally new, which was
I
non-existent.
mean, it was there it was
Yeah, but
always
like
there.
the economic model wasn't there.
Oh, with the Bitcoin stuff.
No, with like digital art, things like 3D models and things like that. You could buy rights to use them and stuff. There are platforms for that,
Yes.
but there weren't platforms for ownership. Like a piece of art. Where you would just. So I think it's just like creating a whole new place. Whole new.
In that way,
ecosystem.
I see that, but for me, I feel that digital art itself is just something. I feel it's going to detract away from traditional art, the oil paintings, the Picassos, and things
think
that
so?
yes, the things that we really revered, and now it's a whole new era for art. Like, do you remember like 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, auto-tune? Okay, we had T-Pain with auto-tune, yes, but it was not an art form.
Mm.
And then we had Travis Scott who came and he made auto-tune almost an art form.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it used to be like, oh, if you could sing, yeah, you're an artist. Now it's like if you can use all these like fancy tools and you create a vibe,
Mm-hmm.
that is art. So it's even democratized art.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that's what this whole thing has done. Now you don't really need to know how to draw.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know how to be an abstract artist or use medium. The medium that we're using is basically on the computer.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it's always been like that. I mean, unless you're like a Renaissance painter or something or sculptor, it's like, cubist shit. It's like freaking rectangles with cool colors. It's all about like your taste and your vision. It's not about your talent. So
It's always, but it has been
not
talent.
talent, but like traditional.
But if you look at
Your
like
talent.
example, if there was a barrier for to be an artist, if you wanted to be shown in a gallery, they would say, "Which school did you go to?" If you're like a self-taught artist, they would be like, "No," to like for your stuff to gain value. But now I feel that if it's cool and if there's enough, basically, if you have enough influencers and if you have enough people behind you, then people are going to be like, "Yeah, cool, we're buying that."
Yeah.
And Beeple, I don't know much about Beeple or his history, or if he was formally educated in art, was he?
Not really sure. He's been doing it for a very, very long time, this 3D stuff, but I don't know his education.
Okay, so well, I feel now with all this VR, AR, and it kind of ties in with the whole gaming thing as well. People are now seeing the reality as in like gaming has permeated so much of our lives. If you look at it, especially with VR and AR, like the fashion shows that we had this year in Milan, a lot of them were using avatars. Like human avatars instead of models. And I feel like it's really going towards that. It's very futuristic at the same time. It's very now. I'm kind of like an old school kind of person. I do like to see humans a bit more. And I think after this hype dies down, we would revert back to humans.
I agree.
But right now, it seems very new and exciting to have like these alien-looking beings dancing around.
I agree. I mean, I think there's room for both. It just needs to be. If you're doing something in fully like an event in full VR, for example, and if it's just like cool, 3D models and like particle effects and like sound effects, then it's not really putting that much new onto the table, right? You get that when you're at a cool event in the real world. But I mean, it needs to bring something like cool and new to the table. I mean, it might be just the massive scale of it. So like bringing, I don't know, 1 million people into the same place, for example, might be an interesting, thing.
What do you mean?
Like, in real world events, you have like physical limits to like how many people you can bring together.
Well, COVID has ruined that for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like even though, like say, I don't know, 10 million people in the same venue, right?
Okay.
Like VR can do that for you, right? And you could figure out a way to facilitate that and make that cool and interactive for the people that join. So like something like that where you're elevating, you're doing something new and a new type of experience, that'll be valuable and people will want to do that. But if you're just doing like the same old thing, like a fashion show, you'd rather be at the fashion show yourself, right?
I mean, the funny thing was the fashion show that they had, it was actually very innovative in a way. And it was cool because it depends on how well it's merged with the brand. So the physical brand that I was talking about, which I think did an amazing job, was GCDS. Italian brand, they make amazing clothes, and I feel the way they did it, it kind of like went with the whole vibe they were trying to do for that collection. So I think you have to remember, you can't have something very traditional. Your clothing can't be very traditional, and then you throw in AR and VR. That's not going to work unless you can somehow do that and have the juxtaposition of both.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, I think it's just it's a really new field. I mean, we tried like the cutting. I don't know if it was the cutting edge thing, but the other day, and there's obviously a lot of things wrong with it. You don't have the fidelity yet. You don't have the latency. It's not like
I think people forget how it's not
clunky.
Yeah, it's not that good.
Yeah,
the technology has to be there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement there.
And how quickly do you think this will improve?
It's tough to say. I mean, it depends on the adoption, right? The more people start to use it, the faster it's going to go.
That is true. I mean, people are, I think, but it's a two-pronged thing in a way that it has to be good and then people would use it. I mean, after my experience personally, going to that, was it AR or VR?
VR.
VR game, computer game thing. It wasn't that good. Let's be honest, it really wasn't that good. If you think about it, was better than what you would think, like grown adults in a room with headsets running around. It's way better than that. It's amazing, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the glitches. Like things would just go black out.
Would get out of sync.
Yes, I didn't like that. I also wished the games were a bit more creative and they were like better games.
Yeah.
That's what I would like.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you can see how that can get even better, right? It seems like this is not the height of that technology,
No, definitely not. Yeah.
So,
but it's been around for a few years now, like 3-4 years, and you would think that at least it's a bit better than.
Well, to be honest, it's been around for longer than that.
But like these VR games, like people go and play these games, and I don't think personally it's improved from 3 years ago. I didn't go to one, but I don't think it has because.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't tried the latest. Oculus put out something really.
We did. When Drea was here, remember?
I didn't try that one. Is that like the latest one?
Yeah.
I didn't try that one out.
I mean, but that one, I don't know. I feel that they need to come up with a really cool product. But this is the technology, but at the end of the day, the product has to be a lot more. The idea behind it.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes going around killing zombies it was cool, but the graphics were there.
One of the most well-received games in VR was a game from, Valve, the guys that do they're like one of the biggest game companies out there. They also have a game marketplace platform called Steam.
I know Steam, yeah.
Yeah, so those guys put out a game called Half-Life Alyx. And it was super well received. It was really well done. And they have their own VR headset that they sell. I forget the name. Whatever. It's one of the good ones. They've been at it for a very, very long time. So a lot of people really hyped that and really liked it. And it had these unique, special things that you could only do meaningfully in VR. So it wasn't just normal game converted to VR.
Like what?
I mean, some little puzzly things, some little, interactive things that were really intuitive and nice in the VR environment. And yeah, so I think it's that, to your point is you got to get the thing, it has to be built for VR and not just converting a normal PC game to a VR game,
Yeah, because
which is a lot of people are just doing that.
I think the zombie thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much a normal game, right?
Yeah.
Except the going through the ledge kind of thing.
That my brother used to play games back in 20 in high school, right? 205, 206, 208.
But it did have
It was exactly the same thing. Even the graphics was a really bad. Was it COD?
COD?
Call of Duty. I think he used to play. I don't know what he used to play, but it's a really bad bootleg Call of Duty kind of graphics that we had.
Well, yeah. It's obviously not done by a big studio, right? That game. Half-Life was done by a good studio, so graphics, everything was.
When I went to Universal Studios, they had almost what's that thing called? They have a Transformers ride. Which is I think that's AR and VR. Sorry, VR, because you wear a headset and it's things are coming at you, and you're in a different world. So that's VR, right?
Yeah.
That was really good. Obviously, Universal Studios. That was really good. It was you're really in the movie, but again, the storyline was horrible. You can't. People, I don't know what they are thinking. They might be thinking that you can just throw in.
Yeah.
Throw in VR and throw in zombies or Transformers or a big name or a big type of genre, and it's gonna be cool. No, the storyline is so important because at the end of the day, that's what we're connecting with. I think people forget that the medium is just a medium. What we're connecting with is the storyline.
Yeah.
It's not the medium. The medium is just there to make things better or to give it in a different way.
Yeah.
I think that for all this new technology like NFT, blockchain, all of these things, people get so lost in the technology that they don't understand that it's actually the medium.
Totally.
That these are just mediums. The real thing is the back to the basics. We're humans. We want to connect. We want to feel. It's the storyline. It's the human touch.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed. None of that has changed from prehistoric times. We just have new mediums, and we're able to express ourselves in different ways. That's literally it.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I think
it's like similarly like with 3D movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, I prefer to see a 3D movie in 2D. If it's just like really well done and it was like it's made for 3D by the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
then I would choose to go and see the 3D one.
Mm-hmm.
But almost every time, I go to the 3D movie, I feel I got ripped off, basically.
Yeah, it's like a gimmick. It's like some kind of
super
child.
gimmicky
Like, it's
thing.
very childish as well.
Yeah. And you need to be sitting at the perfect spot in the theater for everything to kind
You saw Avatar in 3D?
Yeah.
What did you take on that?
That was pretty breathtaking because it was like one of the first ones.
Was it really breathtaking? It was like so disappointing. And it was for 3 hours as well.
The movie wasn't great, in my opinion.
The movie was a rip-off Pocahontas.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so great, but like the visuals and stuff, it was like it was not the first time, but the first time in a long while that I watched like a good 3D movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting, but almost everything else that I watched was quite a disappointment. I can't even remember a good 3D movie.
Again, going back to the whole story. I feel if the story was not a glorified Pocahontas story, because that's what it was, right? This guy falls in love with this alien. I can't remember what happened, but I remember there was a lot of blue people, and all these lights and everything.
Yeah.
But it seemed like almost like they have a Pocahontas story, and they're like, okay, so this is gonna be in 3D. What looks really good in 3D? Let's throw some lights. Mm-hmm. Let's throw some cool effects.
Yeah.
But the story itself was not compatible with, or did not really show and highlight the power of 3D.
Yeah, it just looked cool.
Yeah, and that at the end of the day, I don't feel you don't resonate that much to something that looks cool, as in something that makes you feel, because at the end of the day, art should make you feel, and all of this stuff that we're talking about, like NFTs and all this visual art, and what's the name of this? Digital art. It should make you feel, right? I feel a movie that would do or a story that would do really, really, really well would be Alice in Wonderland. As a game, or as not as a 3D, maybe as a game, as a VR game, because you go down the rabbit hole and you see all these different worlds, right? And you see all these characters come to life, and you go to different parts. You're like exploring, and then all these different characters come, right? And then you can sit down at the tea party, and I think like when you have haunted houses and haunted mansions, or when you go to like theme parks, a lot of the rides, or like when you go for like Halloween, like you go to Universal Studio for Halloween Horror Nights, and a lot of the stuff that they do there, which are with people, and people love it. I think if you could reenact that into VR, it will be a winner.
Yeah.
Because you have like all these people, like example, we went through this like clown crazy house. So you go to all those places, you explore it, and it's all very, very different. And then you have these characters jumping out at you and scaring you. And yeah.
Yeah, I think in general it really works well with, horror-y genres, or maybe like trippy, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Because to make that, if you had to make that as a set, that would be quite expensive, because that's a lot of space. In VR, it's just a room, and you can really explore that, and then you can go to different realms. I think that is what it's really, really good for.
Yeah.
But then going through like the zombie thing, like you don't need. It's so overplayed and overdone, and and I think the worst thing that there was no storyline. the lack of storyline. Again, what was the storyline? There was no storyline.
Yeah.
It was like you're on a mission, okay, and you're. It was devoid of any storyline. I think that was a huge issue.
Yeah.
And I do not understand why these people don't spend more time on picking a better storyline.
Yeah.
That's very interesting why they don't do that.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree.
Your take on VR concerts?
Like I say, if it's gonna be better than a real concert, then yeah, let's do it. You know, but it's or like different, not even better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be cool. But if it's just like the same old concert experience, but you're in VR, I mean, that wouldn't excite me really. You know. Yeah, I don't know. Like the obvious one, you know, the circle stuff, right?
Yeah.
That might be interesting. You know, just like not as like a concert experience, but just like experiencing a cool place. You know, with the the comfort of your chair. You know, the one, for example, with the hot air balloons, right?
Yeah, so you're basically on a hot air balloon.
Yeah, in reality, that's never going to happen. You're not going to be floating around a hot air balloon and listening to cool music. You know, it's never going to happen. But enabling something that's like surreal and new like that through VR is cool. You know, I think they should. I mean, that makes sense to me. But if it's just going to be like a Fortnite, special event kind of thing where there's some artist on a screen and everyone's doing like flosses and stuff.
Is that what happened? Did you watch it?
I mean, I watched a few. I've seen a few Fortnite concerts.
Oh, have you?
Events, just
I haven't.
moments of them.
Oh, no.
It's so totally gimmicky,
Yeah.
It's just like.
I think it's a new frontier, and I think people just try like testing it out. I watched Justin Bieber's Tiny Desk concert yesterday, and obviously I watched his New Year's concert or something, and then I saw the Tiny Desk concert, and Patrick did say that Tiny Desk concerts are really good. Some of them are really, really good.
What did they do?
Basically, it's like a concert. It's like as if we're like just jamming in our room, and you're just standing there and watching. So that's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, and actually it was cool. But now translating that into VR, is it worth it? I don't know. I think what artists can do with that, those like Travis Scott, he has these whenever he has a concert, he's like flying and singing, and so again that whole like other dimension kind of like trippy stuff would work.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about the VR stuff is like it's inherently very not that social in terms of like real interaction, right? You can't like with shit on your face, you can't like interact with other people around you, right? Not in the digital world, but in the real world, right? So,
but you kind of have people around you.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't really see, right?
Okay, yeah.
You don't know where people's, where people are.
Okay, yeah.
You just bump into people.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's kind of a bummer as well, like because normally when you go into a concert, you're kind of going to like socialize with people, and like have a physical presence in the place, have that, bass sounds, pounding and, having that environment where people are just, chilling and whatever. So that is a bad, a negative of the whole, technology as well, I think. Which will be I mean, it's good for like, if I'm just sitting on, by myself, having a drink, want to listen to some good techno.
Okay. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense for that situation. But if I want to go out and experience something,
what happens if you want to join your favorite artist on his tour or in his studio? VR would be really good for that.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you can like be in the recording studio. Imagine live streaming what's the name of the guy? Your favorite artist is live. It's almost live streaming, or he's in the studio, and you can actually just join him in the studio via VR and see what he's doing.
Yeah,
That would be really, really cool. And you can just like walk around and see what it's doing in real time.
Mhm.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be an experience. I think that is the kind of experience that people would want. Something that you can never get in reality,
Sure.
but you can only get in VR.
Yeah. I think, yeah, exactly. Things like that, Um,
Or touring with your favorite artist in real time. So he's touring in real time, and you get to like, hang out with him from the stage all the way to the tour bus where he goes to get his food, everything. That would be amazing.
yeah. The only thing weird about that it would be like you wouldn't be able to interact with the person. You would just like be watching a thing, If you could like interact as well, that would be cool.
Well, you have to pay extra for that, right?
Well, I mean, it's logistically kind of difficult because you're gonna have a million people wanting to interact with them.
Well, I mean, they do that right now with Instagram Live, and they do react to certain people.
Yeah.
So maybe you could do some kind of technology like that.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's probably doable, but it's a little challenging.
I mean, I feel that the amount of people that you can hire and the amount of brains we have in this world, I'm pretty sure if people put a bit more effort into this,
Mhm.
if there's a higher reward, we would have the cure not the cure, but we would have something really good by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's not that much of a priority because people are just happy with, VR.
Mhm.
That it doesn't really push.
Yeah, don't know. I mean, there are a lot of big companies working on it for sure, putting a lot of money into it, like Facebook, obviously, Valve, a few more like Sony. But it's I don't know. It's they're working on the platform. These big guys, but like you say, there are not a lot of people working on the content aspect of it, or like putting enough money into the content aspect.
I think that's what I think.
Which is
I think the thing is that this industry, obviously, you making a platform is great, but the industry is only going to grow once you make a great product.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I mean, out of all of them, I think only Valve is like really pushing it with the product, like the content side as well. Like Facebook, practically nothing, and they're the biggest one.
What are they making?
Oculus.
Oh, okay. Is that Facebook? I thought that's Microsoft.
It's Facebook. Microsoft has something called HoloLens.
Sorry,
But that's a
yeah.
mixed reality kind of.
Oh, I love that. That's like an AR. That's AR, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's called mixed reality, but
Okay.
it's practically the same thing. It's kind of like mixing VR and AR together.
Oh, okay.
Because you put a headset on and like the whole thing, and it's like
that is really cool. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still very gimmicky.
It's not gimmicky. That's the thing. Remember, I said to you like this all these phones and everything is so 2004. I just want Twitter. Boom, Twitter here.
Yeah.
YouTube here. I want this, and then I can work on this, and then I can push it away. And that's what they're doing.
They're working on it. It's not there yet, but yeah. I assume that's the goal there. But still, it's really clunky and it's like it doesn't track that well.
And the problem is that the glasses are too big, so they're trying to make it like into your glasses. They want to make it into like
Yeah, I mean, I tried the Google Glass many years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It was like
yeah.
I mean, like talk about gimmicky, right? It's just like this, teeny screen on the like side of your peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
Peripheral vision, and it's like. It's like you can just see like a word there. It's like,
that's it.
It's 15 degrees, Celsius today, like something like that. Yeah, or, you've got mail. That's totally useless. I remember it being so hyped. It was like.
Don't you think the Apple Watch is a bit hyped?
I don't know. I think it looks cool.
I mean, it looks cool.
But compared to a normal watch, it's pretty smart, right? Looks nice.
But you have a phone for that. I mean, now if you had a SIM card in that watch, yeah, I understand that. And they could put a SIM card. God knows why they don't.
I think the latest ones have it.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
You sure?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay, so
but I mean, yeah, it was
if it's a
problem.
fully functional phone,
Well, it's still not fully functional, right? It's just like small screen, you know.
but you then at least you can run and get your calls on it. Right now, for the watches that I've seen, that you don't even get a call on it. What's the point? Your phone has to be near you.
I think the latest model.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though.
I mean, when I got my iPhone, I was checking for that, and at that point, it did not happen.
Just a few weeks ago,
Well, it was a month ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
then you're right. I mean, I thought they did, but I didn't look into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like, I mean, it's never gonna replace like if you're like a real watch lover, you know, it's always gonna be like some gimmicky.
I'm not
stupid
sure
thing.
actually. The thing is that rare antique collectible watches, their value, they're not holding their value at all. It's going down by 5%.
Well, I mean, an Apple Watch isn't gonna hold its value at all, you know.
I mean, something's going to replace that, right? Like automobiles, they're kind of holding their value a bit, like rare antique collectibles. Antique collectibles, yes. The thing that's really holding its value right now is bags, like Hermes, Chanel bags. They're increasing by 13% a year. But then things such as art, minus 11%, like 11% down, which is crazy because I thought art would be would be something that would be able to retain its value the most.
It's the same with watches. I think everything, like you have to be careful on. You got to be picky, right? If you're thinking about value and everything, like there's some watches, like you say, go up. Some of them just go down. You know, you need to be good at picking the right ones and the ones that you got to have a taste. You know. So I think it's the same thing with like sneakers, baseball cards. Not every baseball card is going to go up, and things like that.
What's your take on
like good rule of thumb is like scarcity, right? If there's like millions and millions of these things out there, then it's obviously not going to go up.
crazy news? Mobile phones from the 80s and 90s, they're really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those Nokia brick phones, they sell for crazy amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't make it like that anymore, right? If you have like your iPhone mini, 20 years, 30 years from now, that's going to be worth a lot. Hold on to
I
it.
don't think so. There are going to be millions of them out there. No? Anything that has been mass produced, from what I can tell, never goes up in value. If you're lucky, it doesn't go too down. It's like with Pokemon cards, right? They say like the Charizards are really valuable, right? They go for like thousands of dollars. They don't. There's some limited like number of valuable ones. I don't know, maybe a couple thousand out there, a couple, tens of thousands range. Those guys go for a couple $1,000. Most of our Pokemon cards, they don't go for $10.
But I see grown men collecting them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like
Crazy.
It still needs to be quite scarce, and not a lot of them. It needs to be kind of unique. I think it's the same with pretty much anything. Old books, for example. First edition print books. Some of them are really valuable. Some old ones. So I think it's generally, if there's not a lot of them out there, they're quite valuable.
The thing with the brick phones, Nokia brick phones, everybody had it, but then everybody threw theirs away, and nobody kept them in working condition. So the ones in working condition are extremely rare.
Oh.
And that nostalgia factor as well. So yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, then again, I don't know anything about this sort of thing. So.
But I think definitely with like the reason why Pokemon was such a hit. Remember Pokemon Go?
Mm-hmm.
It was such a hit. It was because the storyline was amazing.
It was interesting too, I think.
Yeah, the story, you go around trying to find it in different places, and then you would interact with people, but at the same time you'd interact with the shops as well.
Yeah.
Because there'll be some things in different shops, and then the different shops would like have Pokemon lattes to like capitalize on that.
Yeah.
So they had made this whole ecosystem. That's why it hit and it worked so well.
Yeah.
So if you could,
They did it well.
yeah, it's not just the game. It has to be the whole ecosystem. It has to be this whole story. It has to be immersive. It's always a story. You know, the content that has to be good. And I
And the
think,
tech was like super basic, right? Just flick
Yeah.
a freaking Pokemon ball to them.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just like super basic. Like a kid could do that game, you know?
yeah. And so I feel like what a lot of people get wrong is they focus too much on the tech, on things that don't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
Yeah.
Who did that? Who was the developer behind that? Do you remember? Was it Nintendo? Anyway, I mean, it's cool. I like that. I actually never played it, but I mean,
Me
I just
too.
love the vibe, the idea behind it. You know.
Yeah, that thing was amazing. Like because you have your own world and then you have these Pokemon running around.
Yeah.
And you're right, it was not the craziest thing, but it was so addictive
Mhm.
and it was so well done and they had this whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think that's what made it so good.
Yeah.
I think with these like zombie games, these VR, AR zombie games, it's there's no storyline to it. There's no fun factor.
Yeah.
And I think there's another factor that you need to put into it is the dummy factor. Can an idiot play this?
Hmm.
You know, something that you don't have to think too much into.
Yeah.
Right? The moment I feel it becomes a bit too much, too technical, or there's too much going on, you have to know too much, it becomes only for gamers. You want it to be for everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially a game like that where you're banking on a lot of people interacting with each other. You want it to be accessible, right?
The funny thing is, I don't think they thought it. I mean, I don't think they thought people would interact with each other, but people would just turn up in different places because they're like, I saw the Pokemon here.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I think for sure there must be some sort of trial and error, surprises happening there. But yeah, it turned out pretty successful.
And why did it stop? Do you know?
Well, games are always like that, they never last forever. I'm not really sure.
I mean, Call of Duty and all those games are lasting.
Well, yeah,
forever.
but they're making new games every year and a half.
Yeah, so why did Pokemon stop?
I don't know, man. I mean,
It's
I
interesting.
don't know. In that realm, I think there's only Fortnite, but that has been able to stick around. I think in that scale.
What do you mean?
Mobile games like that.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, they go up and slowly fade away.
It's Fortnite, but Fortnite's online, right?
Yeah, online.
But there's nothing.
Yeah. But like in general, mobile games don't really last too long, unless it's like a poker game or something, or where they have like a new one coming out every year. But yeah, who knows?
What's that? Grand car theft auto.
Grand Theft Auto.
That would be a really good VR game. No, it would be.
Yeah.
But then obviously people are gonna be like, oh, ethical, blah blah blah. But I think it'd be great. Don't you think so? No.
I don't know. What do you think?
You get to ride cars all around the city, right? And localize it to the person's location, right? So imagine you have that in Singapore. You're riding around Singapore. You're scaling all the buildings in Singapore.
Yeah, but is it going to be like first person? From like
Yeah, you doing it. Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, like Fast and Furious, like Too Fast and Furious, right? Basically, you and your teammates basically have to do something. Basically, if that was a VR game, that would be amazing.
Uh-huh.
That would be amazing though, because you've got a storyline, you've got a lot of action, a lot of like stuff that you want to do but you can't do in real life. Like when I watched Too Fast and Furious, I'm like, oh, I wish I could like jump off cars and stuff, but obviously you can't, right?
Yeah.
So
But the thing is, like when it's really active like that, it's
Mm-hmm.
really nauseating. In a game where you like really a lot of vertical movement going on, like
But people go
jumping,
for
scaling
but people go
things.
for roller coasters.
Yeah, I mean, after like after like 15 minutes, you get really nauseated from that. From
Oh,
VR.
really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
generally, like flat games work better. Where you're not like jumping and
But then that's boring.
Yeah. I mean, it's just because of the your eyes seeing something in your ears. Inner ears not feeling that. It just fucks with your
Oh.
head. Um,
Oh, so there's that thing, huh?
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can figure something out that work for that.
So are you saying the reason why when we did the zombie thing, the scaling was not that crazy was because of that?
I don't know.
Did anybody feel like kind of like ill after that?
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't do it for long. But if like think about
It
you
was for
playing a
45
game.
minutes though, right?
Yeah, but when you play games, generally you sit there for hours.
No, but I'm
right?
saying if you go for the VR experience, promote this thing as a VR experience.
Yeah, like GTA or something like that, like a
I'm
car
saying like
chasing
as a
game.
VR. So if you only go there for 45 minutes, this whole thing's only 45 minutes.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges with VR. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's tough to get right in terms of like it being playable and exciting at the same time.
Yeah, because the thing with roller coasters, there's a reason why they only last for a minute and 30 seconds.
Hmm.
Because your body can't take any more
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that before. I used to wonder why. But after a while, it's a bit too much for your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the whole science behind that as well.
Yeah. And you can't be thrilled all like for half an hour, right? You're gonna get bored at some point. You're gonna be overloaded.
It depends.
Too much adrenaline.
It depends if you're a kid. I remember like when we went for Halloween Horror Nights, there were these kids and they would run all the way to the front of the line, jump and cut the queue, and they're like 13, and then they'll go for the ride, finish it, and then go all the way up again. Back to back to back to back to back, and they would love it. And I was just like, what the hell? Yeah. But I think they should take a lot of, for VR, they should look at theme parks and like those Halloween kind of events and see what works in Disney World and stuff like that, the interactive stuff, and see what works for them, those kind of things, because they've been like tried and tested on humans for a very long time.
Yeah.
Another thing that definitely could work is things such as, but they already did this with immersive dining, which is basically AR. A little man comes and he like cooks for you.
Mhm.
Did you see that? It was called the Please Chef. He like comes and he cooks for you, and then your food comes onto the plate, and then he travels all across like the Marco Polo train or something like through China and and he like gives you cuisines from different parts of the world. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Things like that would be really exciting, I feel.
Yeah. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I can't really find that. It's not really obvious to me like what would work really well. It just needs a lot of experimentation. I feel like something. I was like thinking about like movies where you can like kind of like first personally movies. Something like a horror flick or some sort of mindfuck movie might be interesting. But then again, I do like movies that have like
you're in a box and you stay in a box.
Yeah, because that's one of the cool things about it, right? You get to see something through someone else's eye. So I don't know, kind of.
I think the whole thing is if you look at theme parks, they're interactive, or like Harry Potter theme park, so you can relive. That has been designed so you can relive. All you have to do is just cut and paste that, basically.
Yeah.
But those museums, which I was telling you about, the ones in which you go and then they are acting as if you have actors there and they act like that you're in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And you explore that. Imagine you do that with an area of land or a city. That'll be amazing.
But again, you're kind of missing like the whole person.
No, the people are talking to you.
No, but normally we do those type of things together with people, right? You don't go there alone.
When we were doing the VR thing, I could see Dad, and I could talk to Dad.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, but all you have to do is like the skin. All you have to do then is just have the technology where Dan can like have his own like features showing to his skin. Do you see what I mean?
That's pretty
I mean, better start working.
tough.
But I mean, that's all you need. Literally, that's all you need. You know what I mean? It can't be that tough. They just take a picture, like a 3D picture of you, and they superimpose it onto that part.
Yeah, but getting like it needs to track your every move, like every limb. You basically
I'm just saying the
need,
face part. You need the whole body.
but yeah, you can't interact with people though. Like even if
I
you
was
have the
interacting
face.
with him. I was shooting on him all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't.
He was
like,
talking to me, and I was no.
You can't physically interact with them, right? Which
I mean, you say come here, you do this, and then you let the person comes. You know, you shoot them.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, that's like one of the. I'd rather go to a theme park, right?
Or you really want the real physical interaction. I see
Yeah,
what you want.
I mean, if I have the option. If I don't have the option, sure. But if I have that, I'd just rather take a roller coaster ride.
I mean, the AR, sorry, the VR Transformer ride in Universal Studios where you sit down. What happened? They just cancelled. Oh, okay. That thing where you sit there and they do that. Yeah, you can hold on to the person, but you're so interested in what's happening in front of you, you don't care about the person.
Yeah. Well, fine. It's
Because when I went on that ride, nobody really cared about the person next to you, because it was really not about the person. It was a solo trip, you know.
I don't know.
I think the whole thing with like interacting with new people, the whole VR dimension, that's a bit like Bitmoji plus VR. You know, that's a whole new level.
You mean like the avatars and everything?
Yeah, where you have your own avatar.
Yeah.
That's a lot of that might take a while to get there. But making with the technology that we have right now, making games a bit more interesting, I think we can definitely do that. It's just that the content and the games that they're focusing on, they're not focusing on the right thing. I feel they're focusing on turning video games into VR, which is not the way to go. I feel what you need to do is you have like experiences into VR.
Totally.
I mean, they are doing that with traveling, like all these museums now. In a way, what you can do is not with VR, but on YouTube, you can like, or even how you view this house. Remember, you click there and you can like walk in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that technology is called. Google uses it as well.
It's just a 360
Okay, yeah.
picture.
So, but imagine if that was in VR. You know, if you could really go to China right now. I mean, they're doing that with 360 pictures and 360 videos right now. But put that into VR. I think that'll be a lot more fun.
Sure.
Join VR and live streaming. Put them together. So you really feel it a bit more. Because right now, what a lot of people are doing, independent people are doing, is they're in a town or whatever. They're like going around the town with a camera, GoPros strapped onto them. So it's like you're walking through the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people are traveling through that.
Yeah.
And the person talks to his followers, and he reads off messages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool things that you can do like that, but I still don't feel it's like groundbreakingly, amazing.
But I see what you mean, but I also have realized humans, they don't really care if something is working and there's no need for something, they're not gonna do it. Yeah. So because there's no need for something, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now this is working and they're fine with it. Nobody's really gonna push that envelope or push the curve.
Yeah.
What you're saying with the whole thing about like AR, VR, mixed reality, and then the whole avatar thing, that would be crazy. But then a lot of these issues will be like, how would you govern the actions in that? Right?
What do you mean?
Would real world laws be applicable?
Hmm.
Touching an avatar inappropriately, because that's an extension. Is that viewed as an extension of a person? Is that a legal entity? Would they, if the avatar now steals something, right? Imagine the avatar steals your hat, which you have bought using your money for to wear when you're, so it's all that
Interesting
as
point,
well.
yeah.
So that comes in as well. Like, oh yeah, another thing very interesting. Gucci selling $10 sneakers online as remember what I said on a computer game that you can buy these things. So Gucci's doing $10 sneakers. So imagine if you're in a game and you have these like $10 Gucci sneakers that you rented out, right, for the night because your avatar's going to a party and my avatar steals it. So now is this a crime or how do you police that?
Yeah.
So that comes into play. That's a whole new ball game. So I feel people don't really know how to handle that.
Yeah. Certainly with stuff that we see on like social media and the fuck ups there, right? So for sure. I mean, games have been maybe games are a little bit better at that stuff, but still, I mean, it's still pretty crazy, especially interacting with other people.
And when you put something like your whole avatar into it, into virtual reality, you're kind of crossing the boundary of what's real and what's not real. So when is it a game? When is it not a game? Do you see what I mean? Because your identity is so ingrained into that avatar. So there's a lot of legal hurdles there. And then the moment the legality comes into it, and then they have rules, the fun's gone because these games are escapism. So that's like, what's the point of it?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting points, man.
I mean, the only thing that the fun about games like zombie games or Grand Theft Auto or COD or whatever is that you can do illegal things without the consequences.
Yeah.
And it's with the parameters of a game, so that's why it's safe, right? Because it's not real. But then once it kind of starts blurring lines and you're starting to pay for things, like you pay for a gun with a VR, are you buying a weapon? Is that a weapon that you bought? Or is it something that you bought in a game to help the character? So I think that's a whole new minefield, and there'll be so many ethical issues. And then seeing what that would do to people psychologically as well. Because then you'll have people dealing with addiction. Like even with computer games, there's huge addiction issues. Like China's actually, I think they don't ban, but they limit the number of games that can be released every year because they have a huge addiction. The young people are so addicted to computer games. Yeah. So with every new technology comes a lot of new challenges as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to figure out somehow. But there's, I don't know, in the old days, people used to be, with violent games. When I remember when GTA first came out, Grand Theft Auto, everyone was like losing their shit about it, right? It was like all the parents, all the governments were like, "Oh, kids are going to be murderers." And it obviously didn't happen.
So they're too busy sitting at home.
Yeah.
They don't leave the house.
Yeah. So it's like there's gonna be that factor as well.
That's true. So if you could commit all your crimes on an avatar, you probably wouldn't commit no crime in real life because you'll be too busy staying at home.
Oh yeah, it's similar to like metal music and stuff.
Yeah.
People thought if they were like metal heads were Satanists and stuff, they would kill cats and shit. Yeah. Obviously not true. Actually, I think there was a study that showed, like a long-term study that showed adults that listened to metal music as like when they were younger, were actually statistically much less prone to crime and things like that.
They got it out of their system.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is true because there's a lot of that. And then there's a lot of, you're right about that. No, you're definitely right about that. Yeah, that's interesting to think about. But then there's also the issue of, I forgot what I was going to say.
But I mean, that being said, we do have like the being like people getting depressed from social media and not getting enough likes, and the teenagers that are losing their shit, because of their Facebook followers, like Twitter follower numbers and shit. That's obviously
It
there's
does.
that as
We
well.
we don't know which part of society is going to impact. That's
Yeah.
the funny thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you just have to, as it develops, the problems always come way later. A year into lockdowns, we're now realizing. Well, I mean, any person could have told you this, but now we're realizing the gravity it has not only on the economics of society but the mental.
Yeah.
And it's huge. I think the generation that these people who have gone through this, we're gonna emerge from COVID. We're gonna become very, very different. And people don't understand just a year of being locked in your house, what that can do.
Yeah.
And we're only starting to understand it now. A year or two of lockdown, what would that really do to us globally as humans? We don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's always the case as things develop. The aftermath and the wider implications we always find that out when, after the dust has settled. Yeah. So that was that. All right. Till next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys.
See you.
Take care. Have a good one.
All of you.
See you next week.
Oh, we have one person. Or is that us?
Life is good. And stream.
What happened to this? Oh. There were people on this and then they just disappeared.